I want to tell you about the word that shaped my entire childhood. One word. Burden. Not screamed, not delivered in anger, said quietly, casually. The way you say something you believe so completely that you don't even notice you're saying it. Emily is just a lot to handle. Emily needs too much. Emily has always been difficult. I heard these things so many times growing up that I stopped hearing them as opinions. I started hearing them as facts. My parents were not cruel people. I want to be clear about that. They were not monsters. They did not withhold food or shelter or the basic necessities of a childhood. What they withheld was something quieter, belief. My older brother Daniel was the star, academic, athletic, the kind of son who made my parents stand taller at parent-teacher nights just by existing. I was the other one, the one who asked too many questions, who felt things too loudly, who needed more reassurance than they knew how to give. "You're too sensitive, Emily," my mother said so many times it became a reflex. "You need to toughen up," my father added. "The world doesn't have time for people who can't handle things." I was 7, the first time I heard the word burden used in relation to me. I was sitting at the top of the stairs. They didn't know I was there. "She's just so much," my mother said. "Tired, resigned. She's exhausting. I love her, but she's such a burden sometimes." I sat at the top of those stairs for a long time. Then I went to my room, and I made a decision, the kind of decision that 7-year-olds make that quietly shapes everything that comes after. I would stop asking for so much. I would stop needing things. I would become someone who was not a burden. I spent the next 20 years becoming exactly that. Self-sufficient, low maintenance, the daughter who never called unless she had good news, who never asked for money, who never showed up unannounced or needed to be rescued. I put myself through college, worked 3 jobs at once in my early 20s, built a career in healthcare administration from nothing, no connections, no family network, no financial cushion. Every achievement earned alone, every failure absorbed in private. Because I had learned at 7 years old that needing things from my family came with a cost I wasn't willing to keep paying. The irony was that the less I needed them, the more distant we became. And the more distant we became, the more they seemed to interpret my independence as coldness. "Emily never visits," I heard through my aunt. "Emily doesn't call enough," my mother mentioned at Christmas, the one time a year I made the 4-hour drive. I had become so good at not being a burden that I had accidentally become something else, an absence, and somehow that was also wrong. The call came on a Thursday afternoon in March. I was at my desk, mid-spreadsheet, coffee gone cold beside my keyboard. My phone lit up. Mom. I stared at it for 2 rings longer than I should have. We spoke rarely. When we did, it was careful, polite. The conversation of 2 people who love each other from a distance they have both helped create. I answered. "Emily." Her voice was different, thinner. "I need to tell you something." Here it is, I thought. Someone is sick. Someone has died. "Your father had a meeting yesterday," she said, "with the people at Whitmore Foundation." I didn't know what that meant. "Mom, what is Whitmore Foundation?" She was quiet for a moment. "It's a charitable organization," she said. "They contacted us. They've been trying to reach you, actually, through us because they couldn't find a current address." "Reach me for what?" Another pause. Longer this time. "Emily," she said slowly, "do you remember your grandmother's sister, Aunt Clara? She passed away 8 months ago." I remembered Aunt Clara distantly, a quiet woman, never married, a retired professor who had lived alone in Vermont and sent me cards on my birthday until I was about 12. "Vaguely," I said. "She left something," my mother said. "In her will. She left it to you." The number my mother said was not a number I processed immediately. She said it once, then said it again because I hadn't responded. "Emily, did you hear me?" "Say it again," I said. She did. $2.3 million. Aunt Clara, quiet, solitary, card-sending Aunt Clara, had spent 40 years investing carefully and living modestly, and had left her entire estate to me. Me. Not my brother Daniel, not my parents, not a charity or an institution. Me. With a letter. The attorney at Whitmore Foundation read me the letter over the phone 2 days later. It was 3 paragraphs. In the first, Aunt Clara explained that she had watched me from a distance my entire life, that she had seen, even from Vermont, even through birthday cards and occasional family gatherings, a child who worked harder than she was given credit for, who asked for less than she deserved, who had built something real without anyone clearing the path. In the second paragraph, she said, "The people who called you a burden were wrong. I want you to know that someone saw you clearly. I always did." I had to put the phone down. I sat in my car in the parking garage for 20 minutes, just breathing. She knew. Someone had seen it, named it, carried it on my behalf when I was too busy surviving to look up long enough to notice. I needed time. Not to decide what to do with the money, that felt almost secondary. I needed time to sit with what Aunt Clara had written. The people who called you a burden were wrong. 7 words, and they undid 20 years of architecture I had built my entire life around. Because the thing about being told you are too much, too sensitive, too needy, too difficult, is that you don't just hear it, you organize your life around it. Every choice I had made as an adult had been shaped by that 7-year-old on the stairs. The jobs I hadn't asked for help finding, the apartment I had furnished alone, the achievements I had never called home to share, because somewhere deep down I believed good news from me was also a burden. The woman who had called me a burden was wrong, and someone had seen that, and left me $2.3 million to make sure I knew it. I called my best friend Kara first. She cried before I finished telling her. "She saw you," Kara said. "She actually saw you." "She did," I said. "Emily," Kara's voice was very quiet, "you have to tell your parents." "I know," I said. "Not about the money," she said. "About the word. About what you heard on those stairs when you were 7. I had never told anyone about the stairs. "How did you—" "Because I know you," she said, "and I know that whatever Clara left you, the money isn't the thing that's breaking you open right now." She was right. She was completely right. I drove home that weekend, the 4-hour drive I usually made once a year. My mother opened the door when she saw my car pull up. She looked surprised. Then she looked at my face, and something shifted in her expression, the specific look of a mother who knows, without being told, that something real is about to happen. "Come inside," she said. We sat at the kitchen table. My father came in from the garden, and for the first time in my adult life, I told them the truth. Not about the money, about the stairs, about the word, about the 7-year-old who had reorganized her entire existence around a sentence she wasn't supposed to hear. My mother's face changed in a way I had never seen before. Not defensiveness, not explanation, grief. The pure, uncomplicated grief of a person who has just understood the cost of something they said without thinking. "Emily," she said, and she started to cry. My father didn't speak for a long time. He sat with his hands on the table, looking at them. I had prepared myself for defense, for explanation, for the version of this conversation where my memory was questioned or minimized. Instead, he said, "I didn't know you heard that." "I know," I said. "That doesn't make it—" "I know," I said again. "We were tired," he said. "We were young and we were tired and we didn't understand that sensitive wasn't a problem to be fixed. We thought we were—" He stopped. "We thought we were preparing you." "For what?" I asked. He looked up. "For a world that wouldn't be gentle with you," he said. "We were trying to toughen you up because we were afraid for you, because you felt everything so deeply, and we didn't know how to protect you from that." I sat with that, the gap between intention and impact, the way two people can love a child and still leave marks she spends 20 years trying to understand. "I know you love me," I said. "I have never doubted that." My mother reached across the table. I let her take my hand. "I'm sorry," she said. Simply, completely. "I am so sorry, Emily." I told them about Aunt Clara after, about the letter, about what she had written. "The people who called you a burden were wrong." My mother read it twice. My father read it once and then folded it very carefully and handed it back to me without a word. There was nothing to say. Clara had already said it. I used part of the inheritance to establish a small scholarship fund at the university where I had worked 3 jobs to put myself through. For first-generation students, the ones without networks or financial cushions, the ones figuring it out alone. I named it after Aunt Clara. People ask me what I did with the rest of the money, and I tell them the honest answer. I bought myself time. Time to stop working 3 jobs. Time to breathe. Time to build something I actually wanted instead of something I needed to survive. And time, the most valuable thing of all, to call my parents more than once a year. We are not fixed. Real things don't fix in single conversations. But we are honest now, for the first time in my memory, genuinely, imperfectly, courageously honest. Aunt Clara gave me $2.3 million, but what she really gave me was something you cannot put in a will. She gave me the knowledge that someone had seen me clearly, all along, the whole time, exactly as I was. And that, I have decided, was worth more than everything else combined.